And I'm going to take you, ladies and gentlemen, to a cracking view and hopefully what you'll find to be a very interesting piece of Bermondsey's history. We're walking underneath Tower Bridge now. You see there is the vault, which is fairly nearly opened, and I want you to bear this view in mind for the end of our video. When I say bear that in mind, Pickle Herring Street is where we just started, at the foot or underneath the Great Tower Bridge. And this is Shad Thames that we're walking on now. Pickle Herring Street was once originally like this, with wharves and a busy docking area. You see all the wharves and things that go across. And the building we're going to go into in a minute, or through, the Anchor Brew House. In December 1787, the Aberdonian John Courage purchased a small brew house on this site. Little more than a year later, the first entry in the brewing book records that John Courage had brewed 51 barrels of beer at the Anchor Brew House in Horselydown. 3 separate elements, the boiler house, the brew house and the malt mill, each expressing different functions in the process of beer making, are united to form the Anchor Brew House's characterful and picturesque composition. The building is an expression of historical continuity, for brewing on the river has always been an important feature of London's Thames side. Brewing in Southwark is mentioned by Chaucer and Horselydown in Shakespeare. The original part of this building dates from 1871 and was largely rebuilt in 1894 to 95, reconstructed, restored and refurbished in 1985 to 89, and it is now a Grade 2 listed building situated in Tower Bridge Conservation Area. I'm going to pause you a minute and give you some views of this building. And here it is. There's a thing up the top that looks like a lighthouse. It's apartments nowadays. And where I'm going to take you to is Horsleydown Old Stairs. Now, if you carry on watching this video for our historical segment at the end, it's interesting where the Horsleydown Old Stairs get their name from. In the summertime, the gates close at 10, winter time 8 PM, otherwise as deemed necessary. That's for flooding and things like that. And if you walk through here, down these here stairs, you'll get a pretty amazing view. So I shall keep you pointed down just for a moment until we get down onto the foreshore. Hopefully without falling over, because I saw someone go arse over tit down these stairs once. How's that? Pretty epic view of Tower Bridge. And it's not very often, well, not at all actually, that I've walked underneath Tower Bridge. I've walked across it a good couple of times, but never underneath. So now we walk underneath Tower Bridge. Horsleydown Old Stairs, very, very old history, going back as far as the 16th century is the first mention of it, so it's likely to have predated that. Really interesting area this, mostly docking. In its early days we would have been in the countryside, surrounded by fields and little thatched buildings on this side of the river, looking over, of course, which would have been there then, the Great Tower of London, which we see here. first began by William the Conqueror to stamp the Norman's mark on London and to show the people, not as we view this, that it's a lovely tourist attraction to come and see, but to show the native Londoners, you are a conquered people. And how's that for you, my little lambs? That ain't bad, is it, eh? Beautiful, beautiful. My old friend Fred could do a fantastic Norfolk accent, although he'd never been there in his life. Oh, look, a plug. Cool, that's something like a plug. You don't see plugs like that nowadays. As Wally Batty from Last of the Summer Wine would say. I absolutely love London. At times, I moan about it, something chronic at times, particularly the East End where I come from, because it's fast turning into a literal rubbish bin, and I mean that in the actual sense of rubbish. That wherever you go, you're just finding rubbish dumped everywhere on the streets. And this is a free attraction, of course. So, any of you lovely page members that can get down here, I advise you to do so. If you follow today's itinerary, not a bad little day out actually. I mean the itinerary of my filming. That old piece of glass, look. You can see that's a beer glass but washed smooth many years ago. I love things like that. I'm having to go very careful where I walk. If you're a bit unstable or have any disabilities, be careful with this one. Or as someone from up the north may have said, if there's a gammy leg, mind this and they'll fall down and crack the head. Just in a better accent than that, of course. Don't you just love London? There's a bone there. You often find bones on the foreshore, which sets the morbid imagination going something chronic. But they're more than likely to turn out to be beef or ox bones and things like that from the old chop houses, and people didn't have the lovely bin men to come and take their rubbish away from them in those days, so it all got poured into the Thames. Ooh. Over I nearly went. This is somewhere you don't want to fall over, because even an able-bodied person, you fall onto one of these big rocks, you're going to hurt yourself. And if you come here when the tide is high, just about there is tidal level. So, sorry about that. See what I mean? Like, I do not like filming people if I can avoid it. And these old wooden pilings and the great stone rocks and everything packed in to allow these buildings to be built by the river edge, these predate the 1870s. So there's a lot of age here. We're walking among history. I've got lots of, not lots, but several varied hobbies. But one of the ones I enjoy most is bringing London's past and history to you. Shall I be intrepid and walk on this dodgy looking concrete and hope I don't tumble into the Thames? Yes. See, look, this is what I like as well with London. I mean, what is that? Is that a manhole opening? Some discarded remnant that no one wanted? Shall I point out some of the attractions for those that don't know them? The monument, the old Billingsgate fish market, HMS Belfast, Cannon Street Station with the two turrets, the BT Tower, and of course Horselydown Old Stairs, Anchor Brew House, Horselydown. So I shall take you for a little bit of the history of that now. Where does Horselydown get its name from? And a little bit of the history of Pickle Herring Street, where we began our video. And viewpoints again bear this exact view, but in 1947 in mind. So off we trundle into the past. Horselydown, the parish of Horselydown, mentions go back as far as the 16th century, so it likely predates that. But you see Horselydown here in this painting in 1569 of Horselydown Fair. And where does Horselydown get its name from? It's believed to come from the old Horselydown, a paddock resting area for horses within the parish. So Horselydown would evolve into Horselydown. This is the Horselydown Fair in 1569, and if you look over to the left and the horizon, you'll see the Tower of London framed in between those two trees, and the dirt track that goes towards the edge of the river there leads to Horselydown Old Stairs. Here we see a view of the fete at Horselydown in 1590 from Walter Besant's Tudor London. I've marked Horselydown Old Stairs with the blue arrow, and conveniently enough for us, there's a little Thames boat making its way full of people from Horselydown Old Stairs over to the Tower of London side of the river. And where the where the big sail ships are going now is exactly where Tower Bridge stands. Horselydown, Pickle Herring Street and Shad Thames in their very early days were places of pleasure in the countryside, and in our time are places of pleasure not in the countryside, but they were also places of business and commerce. Here we see the area in the 18th century, and it was a busy docking area and would become in the 19th century known as London's Larder, where all the produce for the metropolis were unloaded at this point. Here we see an early 18th century image. Marked in red is Horselydown Old Stairs, the Tower of London on the opposite side of the river, and next to the Tower of London, the lost parish of St Catherine's by the Tower, which would become St Catherine's Dock in the 1820s. 1746, and here you see Pickle Herring Stairs, long lost since the invention of the docks, and Pickle Herring Street, you can just see making its way along there. And in our video, when I stopped under Tower Bridge and turned round and said to you to bear that view in mind, this is that exact same view 77 years ago in 1947, and how that has changed, eh? Totally different world. Great view from Horselydown Old Stairs of an artist painting Tower Bridge, 1947. And for many of you who've seen the post on the page already of the then and now comparison pictures, this is that same shot, but in 1947 I was able to stand on the exact same spot and take a shot 77 years later at the exact same angle, and you can see in my shot how the vista of the city has changed. 1947 again, and a boat or yacht making its way under the bridge. Tower Bridge raises its bastions only enough as per the height of each vessel, so if something very tall and massive goes underneath, they'll raise all the way up flat. If something like this goes under, they'll just rise enough to allow it to go through. It allows for closing the bridge and opening a busy route in and out of London back up again quickly, doing that. During the summer heatwave in 1968, the heat caused Tower Bridge to jam open, not for the first time, closing it down for 2 hours. Firefighters helped to cool the bridge by drenching the massive metal girders in water. Credit to Ian A. Biddle for this image. And here we see Shad Thames, Pickle Herring Street, and that area right at the very end of its life, at the very late 1970s when the docks had gone and everything was closing. Here we see it in the 1980s, very early 80s, and I actually remember a lot of the buildings that were around at that time. Used to go past in my dad's taxi, and those old dock buildings, then abandoned, were still there until the 90s when they started taking them down. And our lovely view that we began with from Horselydown Old Stairs, or not what we began with, but what we headed to at Horselydown Old Stairs at Tower Bridge. And from one form of antiquity to back in the long past. I love this because it's a good comparison of London. In the top image shows Roman London of approximately 120 AD, with the first, and at the time only bridge to ever cross the river, which was London Bridge. The Romans were the first people to bridge the River Thames, and as you can see their walled city there in approximately 120 AD. And the image below from last year shows London of 2023, with Tower Bridge, and of course over to the left of it, Horselydown Old Stairs, London Bridge and the other bridges, and just how much the cityscape has changed. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you all enjoyed, and I shall see you all soon on the next one.